Hi, Kipsters. It's Ms. Hunkapiller here. Today, I'm going to walk you through the thinking steps to find the structure of a story. Here are the 3 thinking steps. Step 1, what does the beginning introduce? We are also going to put our story hand up, and we know that at the beginning of a story, we have S and T, which is the setting and the talking characters. Step 2 of how to find the structure of a story is, how does the middle build on? First of all, we have to find, what the problem is, R, how characters try to resolve it, and we ask ourselves in our brain, what details from the beginning are repeated in the middle of the story? Lastly, we are going to think about, how does the ending conclude the story? And what do the characters learn? We also are going to find a solution of the story. I'm going to model all 3 steps with the book Grasshoppers Grows Lunch that you can also find on Kids A to Z. I'm going to pause and model each step. After that, it will be your turn with a different book. Let's get started.
Grasshoppers Gross Lunch, written by Elise Sweeney, illustrated by Patrick Girard. Day after day, the green grasshopper grazed. Most of the time, Grasshopper grazed on green leaves. Sometimes he grazed on grass. But Grasshopper was tired of grazing on green leaves and grass.
Now I'm going to pause because I just read my beginning. What does the beginning introduce? I'm going to put my story hand up and I'm going to find the setting and the talking characters. Well, I know that the grasshopper is being talked about. He is the main character, so he's the talking character. I also see that there is a setting. It doesn't really say what the setting is, but I can see in the picture that it is grass or a lawn. And I also see here that there is like a forest. So what I'm going to do is, for step 1, I'm writing setting forest, and the character that we know is the grasshopper. Great. Now let's keep going. See what the middle does and how the middle builds on.
But Grasshopper was tired of grazing on green leaves and grass. "I'm going to eat new food today," he said. Then he hopped into the forest. Grasshopper grinned when he saw all the new food to eat. "Maybe these green berries will taste great," said Grasshopper. "Gross," he groaned. He hopped to find something else to eat. "Maybe these gray nuts will taste great," said Grasshopper. "Gross," he groaned, hopping on. "Maybe this sweet honey will taste great," said Grasshopper. "Gross," he groaned. "I'm hopping home to graze on green leaves and grass," said the grumpy Grasshopper.
All right.
At home, Grasshopper.
I'm going to pause here. And now I'm going to look at the middle. Second question, how does the middle build onto the beginning? Well, I remember that in the beginning, there was a forest and the grasshopper. And what was the grasshopper doing? He said, "Ooh, there's so much new food to eat," which is great. But then he had the problem. So let's write down what the problem was. Well, let me move this down. The problem was that he tried each food, but then he didn't like it, right? It says, "Gross," he groaned. So he tried new foods, but thought they were gross. So how he tried to solve the problem each time, he tried to try a different food, right? He hopped to find something else to eat. That's his way to try to solve this problem. So R is He tries to solve the problem by finding something else to eat. Now, what details are repeated? I know the grasshopper likes to eat and he grins when he sees new food. So that tells me he likes to eat, right? So at the beginning, it says he grazed on grass, then he wanted to eat new food. Okay, so the middle builds on by telling us which new foods grasshopper wants to eat and why. Because he's tired of the grass. He is tired of eating grass. Awesome. Now let's scroll down and read the last part of the story.
At home, Grasshopper greeted his friends. He said, "I just ate berries, nuts, and honey. Those foods aren't great for grasshoppers like me. They're gross," he said. His friends said, "Don't you know? Green leaves and grass are the greatest foods for grasshoppers. Be glad you are a grasshopper," they said. Now Grasshopper always grins as he grazes on green leaves and grass.
The end. All right, well now I'm going to look at, I was going to look at the book again. Okay, book is back. So now I'm going to think, how does the ending conclude the story? So what's the solution and what do the characters learn? All right, well, I know that the solution is right down here on page 9. I'm hopping home to graze on green leaves and grass. So now he's grumpy. It says here the grumpy grasshopper. And now he's going back home to eat what he had at the beginning of the book. So now it tells me that he always grins now. So he's happy when he eats leaves and grass. So I'm going to write the solution down first. Solution, grasshopper goes back home to eat green leaves and grass. These are the things he ate at the beginning of the book. What do you think the character, the grasshopper, learned in this story? I'm going to look back, and I think that his friends are really helpful in figuring this out. His friend said, "Don't you know? Green leaves and grass are the greatest foods for grasshoppers. Be glad you are a grasshopper," they said. So it seems like Grasshopper wanted to try new things. He tried them all. He didn't really like them, and he came back to what he used to have. So that tells me that you should be thankful for the things that you have. So what the characters learn. Grasshopper learns that he should be grateful for what he has. He now likes his food, grass, and leaves. So what is the structure of Grasshopper's gross lunch? Well, I'm going to write 3 sentences, one about the beginning, one about the middle, and one about the end. So what does the beginning introduce? Let me look here. I will write the beginning introduces the character Grasshopper and the setting, the forest. What's the problem in the middle and how does the middle build on? I might need 2 sentences for that. So, Grasshopper doesn't like eating grass, tries new foods, but thinks they are gross. The middle builds on by telling us what he tries, and why. Now, how is the problem solved and what happens at the end? Well, at the end, Grasshopper returns home to eat grass and leaves. Here's the lesson. He learned he should be thankful for what he has. This is now how you will describe the structure of a different story. You got this. Lopes up.